Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda, and in this important episode of Ignition Time, I'm going to give you both points of view about the $600 a week unemployment benefits extension. Economists support this, and there have been presidential advisors, and there are presidential advisors who reject the idea and who want to see an end to these ongoing benefits. I'm going to talk to you about three things in this video. I'm going to talk to you about economists who support the extension of the $600 a week unemployment benefits. I'm going to talk to you about presidential advisors who want to put an end to the $600 a week unemployment benefits extension. And most importantly, I'm going to talk to you about how you can make your voice heard and what you can do after you watch this video. So let's start from the point of view of the economists. Julia Wolfe is a state economic analyst at the Economic Policy Institute, and she wrote an article, and I'll link you to the article in the description below. So you definitely want to check out that insightful article. So she said in the article, extending the $600 a week unemployment boost would support millions of workers. The article states that as of last week, more than 35 million individuals in the workforce are either receiving or have recently applied for unemployment benefits, regular unemployment benefits, as well as the PUA. In fact, in 4 states and the District of Columbia, more than 1 in every 6 workers are receiving regular UI benefits or waiting for their claim to be approved. This includes Hawaii, almost 20%, Nevada, 19.3%, New York, almost 18%, the District of Columbia, 17.6%, and Oregon, 17%. Now, what really struck me about this article are 2 charts that I'm going to actually show you in this video here. The first chart showed the new and cumulative jobless claims by state. This gives you an idea of the extent of joblessness in specific states. I'm actually going to highlight specific states and focus on them. And the second was, if the $600 a week unemployment insurance booster, the federal booster, was allowed to expire, how many jobs would be lost over the next 12 months? In other words, how many people would essentially lose their jobs over the next 12 months? So the first chart will show you all the jobless claims as a share, as a percentage of the entire labor force. It will really give you a high level idea of where things stand in specific states. And again, I will link you to that article below, so you can click on that article and look at specific data about your specific state and surrounding states. And the second chart that I show you will show you the potential job loss if the $600 a week federal booster is taken away, and the potential job loss as a share of total employment. So here on your screen, you will see the new and cumulative jobless claims by state. I'll focus on specific states. I'll start with California, and this is data from the Department of Labor. So in California, regular UI as a share of labor force was 16%. More than 3 million individuals received or applied for regular unemployment insurance. Let's move on to New York. 18% and 1.7 million individuals currently receiving or applied for regular UI. Let's move on to New Jersey. The regular UI as a share of the labor force is 12%. More than 500,000 people, 537,000 people currently receiving or applied for regular UI. Pennsylvania, 11% as a share of the total labor force. Total currently receiving or applied for regular UI, almost 700,000 people. Let's move on to Texas. 1.4 million people almost currently receiving or applied for regular UI, 10% of the labor force. Now, let's move on to another state, a very important state, Florida. Florida, regular UI as a share of labor force, 7%, and the total people receiving or applied for regular UI, more than 700,000 people. Georgia, almost 750,000 people, and the share of the labor force is 15%. That's the UI. So it's quite interesting statistics. Virginia, the regular UI as a share of labor force is 9%, and the total currently receiving or applied is over 400,000 people. Moving on to North Carolina, the regular UI as a share of labor force is 9%, and the total currently receiving or applied for regular UI is 432,000 people. And Michigan, 11% unemployed as a share of labor force. Total currently receiving or applied, 560,000 people. And Illinois, 11% regular UI as a share of labor force. Total currently receiving or applied, 707,701 people. And finally, Ohio. Let's take a look at Ohio. 8% and 443,959 people are currently receiving or have applied for unemployment insurance benefits. So here's the second chart. If the $600 weekly booster was to be removed, what impact would it have on jobless rates? Let's go ahead and take a look at the exact same states we analyzed with the first chart, and we'll get an idea about what's going on. Let's look at California. The job cost as a share of employment would be 4.7%. 836,000 jobs are projected to be lost, according to the Economic Policy Institute. New York, 463,968 jobs will be lost. New Jersey, almost 150,000 jobs will be lost without the $600 a week federal booster. In Pennsylvania, 252,642 jobs could potentially be lost if the $600 a week federal booster is taken away. In Texas, 364,576 jobs could be lost. In Florida, 244,921 jobs could potentially be lost. In Georgia, we're looking at 186,605 jobs. In Virginia, we're talking 106,549 jobs, which could potentially be lost over the next year. In North Carolina, we're talking 142,496 jobs. In Michigan, 194,520 jobs. In Illinois, 3.2%, 195,149 jobs could be lost. And then finally, in Ohio, we could be looking at jobs lost. 129,599 jobs could potentially be lost. I've been reading all the comments on my videos, and I see that there's a consensus about the need to extend the $600 a week unemployment booster, and clearly this economist agrees. In fact, the economist said to mitigate the economic harm to workers, Congress should extend the across-the-board $600 increase in weekly unemployment benefits well past its expiration at the end of July. If Congress does not extend these benefits through next year, it could cost us more than 5 million jobs and $500 million in personal income. And I already showed you all the job losses, the potential job losses for specific states over the next year if the $600 a week federal booster is taken away. And in the third chart, and this also is a pretty important chart, you can see the new and cumulative regular jobless claims by state. Now, this is the most recent data at the time I'm recording this video. Again, I'll link you to that article below so you can check out this table and you can look at information specific to your state by simply clicking on the link in the description below, because this is an article worth checking out. Now, the important thing in this table, when you look at specific data for the states, are those two columns on the right side of your screen. The total receiving UI or waiting for approval gives you a total number of individuals who are receiving unemployment benefits or waiting for approval. And then the last column all the way to the right side of your screen shows you these individuals as a share of the total labor force. Let's look at some specific states so you get an idea of how widespread this problem is and the need to continue the $600 a week unemployment federal booster. Let's take a look at California. Over 3 million individuals, specifically 3,051,489 individuals in the state of California are either receiving unemployment benefits or waiting for approval, and this represents 15.6% of the workforce. That is a whopping number. Now, again, if you want to look at these statistics specific to your state, I encourage you to click on the link in the description and check out that article, and you'll be able to get this data for any state, not just your state, but also surrounding states. And now let's talk about the presidential advisors, and you've actually heard this from various Republican senators who want to put an end to the $600 a week unemployment benefits extension. I have done another video where I talked about the US Labor Secretary Eugene Scalia, who specifically said it wasn't needed. Now I'm going to give you some information. I'm going to present the other point of view, but again, please don't blame the messenger. I'm giving you data here, and this is information that allows you to understand their point of view. You're free to make your own decision about what makes sense. And I believe there is a consensus about what makes sense, and you know my point of view about this as well. Now, an article in the New York Post said why Congress must say no to the $600 unemployment bonus extension. Yep, that was the title of the article. Now, this article was written by Brian Blaze, Casey Mulligan, and Doug Badger. Brian Blaze was a special assistant to President Trump at the National Economic Council. Casey Mulligan is a professor of economics at the University of Chicago and served as a chief economist at the White House Council of Economic Advisors. And Doug Badger is a senior fellow with the Gallon Institute. Let's hear about what they had to say in this article. So here's what they said in the article, and I'm going to highlight certain segments from this article. You can read it on your own. I will link you to the article in the description below, so make sure you check that out if you want to read their entire argument. Here are some segments from the article. As the recent 2 jobs reports show, the economy is in a much stronger position than many thought it would be back in the spring. And then they go on to talk about the gains in jobs in the recent 2 job reports. And they also say Congress enacted a $600 weekly unemployment insurance bonus that lifted the average weekly benefit to nearly $1,000. And now this is the important part, making it harder for many businesses to get employees to return to work, even with additional precautions put in place to minimize the pandemic spread. 5 out of 6 recipients are receiving unemployment benefits that exceeded their previous earnings, according to the Congressional Budget Office. This is in the article. This significantly depresses employment and makes it more difficult for businesses to reopen. What I find interesting about this article is that there's a significant focus on businesses reopening. What about safety? What about individuals who've lost their jobs permanently? That, by the way, was not addressed in this article. The article goes on to say the add-on payment expires on July 31st. It should not be extended. This is in the article. Doing so would encourage workers to remain unemployed longer than they otherwise would and depress the economic recovery. We estimate that if the add-on is continued, more than 60% of those unemployed after July 31st would be out of work specifically because of the add-on. Congress should create additional incentives for people to return to work, in part because longer-term spells of unemployment can harm a worker's lifetime earnings as skills atrophy. If political considerations lead to an extension of the unemployment bonus, the amount should be as small as possible for the shortest possible period. And then it goes on to talk about health insurance. And again, you can read the article. This is the important part. Congress and the administration face enormous challenges in pursuing policies aimed at mitigating the economic effects of the pandemic. America needs businesses to smartly reopen and workers to return to their jobs. Policymakers must structure assistance in ways that minimize impediments to recovery. So there you have it. That is the point of view of White House economic advisors that have worked with the White House in the past. And also we are hearing these kinds of trends, these kinds of statements from individuals like Steven Mnuchin, who is the US Treasury Secretary, and the US Labor Secretary, Eugene Scalia. Now, at the end of the day, you're free to make your own decision. I would like you to sound off in the comments below and tell me whether you're a supporter or whether you're a detractor. Are you for the $600 a week unemployment benefits extension, or do you have a different point of view and are you against the $600 a week unemployment benefits extension? I would love to hear your comments in the comment section below. So I think that there are 2 things we can do. Number 1, please comment in the comment section below, because I think that your point of view will help all the other members of our community. Our community is growing very, very rapidly, as you can see for yourself. So sound off in the comment section below so you can see what others are saying. You'll get responses from other members of our community. And also, I recommend that you talk to your senators. I will provide you with a link to the contact information of your senator below. So click that link, find your local senator and call them, talk to them, express your frustration, express your anger, express anything that you want them to be aware of, because it is when they hear from you, when they understand how you're feeling, when they listen to their constituents, because that's what they're supposed to be there for, that we can then get them to change their mind, and that's when we can create meaningful change. That is what our system is all about. They are elected officials and they should be and they must be listening to us. So what I recommend you do is click on the link in the description below, talk to your senator and let them know how you feel about this. With this video, I think you can now make an educated decision about which side you support. I know which side most of my viewers and subscribers support, and if you look at other videos I've done, you will know what I support. What I want you to do is, once again, watch this video one more time. If you feel you need to understand both aspects, please comment below, let me know which side you support. And please talk to your local senator in order to make a difference. Thank you so much for watching. Please click the like button if you learned something new. Please also subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already, and enable notifications so you get instant updates about future videos of Ignition Time. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.